that's shared amongst the units. And with the bathroom being put in there, that space was not arranged for that use to begin with.
Okay.
And then one other question from your standpoint about the UDO. Are you in agreement with the position that there are no additional dwelling units? Because that definition I was trying to look through as well. It seems like that even the 3-bedroom would still have 2 bathrooms, so it wouldn't meet threshold A, right?
I would agree that this is not creating new dwelling units, but I'm arguing it is intensifying the existing dwelling
I
units.
understand
Yeah.
that. I'm trying to figure out where the parties are aligned, so thank you.
Yeah. A dwelling unit has a
Has to
kitchen,
have a
bathroom.
stove
Yeah, yeah,
or the
yeah,
full
yeah,
bathroom,
yeah.
yeah, but so if none of them hit 3.3, yeah. I follow.
All right. Okay, would anyone, no, sir, you get one afterwards. All right. Let's see. Would anyone in the audience like to speak to this case? Mr. Daniel?
It's an order already.
All right, well, I don't have the sign-in sheet, so.
Yeah, it's Guy Lynn.
While that is coming, I did want to mention, just for the record,
Pardon me?
I did want to mention for the record that, there are some letters included in your packet. There were also some that were
Right.
delivered to the board, and I'll just,
We have them.
right, but just for the record, I'll just mention the names. Obviously, I'm not going to read the full letters, but there's also a letter from Mary R. Bull, also a letter from Susan James, a letter from Sally Fisher Lewis, a letter from Marianne Warner Belser, and a letter to Eileen Clare. And all those letters have been provided to the board and will be made part of the record.
Thank you. All right, so who is next?
Okay, the first name on the list is Patrick Hubbard.
Thank you. I've got my 3 minutes.
That's fine if you can speak into the microphone.
I have several points. The first one is, what happens when you don't do a permit? I mean, they went and they did all this stuff, and now they just sort of, well, whoops. And I don't think you could just do that, and that should be wrong. There has to be some sanction if you're not going to follow the rules. So I'm troubled by that. I'm also troubled by the casual way of saying we're going to bring in a better tenant, but the problem is we're living in student world, and students don't usually give you a better tenant as opposed to someone in another situation, okay? And we all know this, and it's fun to, pretend that it's happening, but that's just not the way it is, and everybody knows it. And finally, we just don't want squeezing, fudging, going too far. Why can they just suddenly get 3 instead of just 2? How do you do that? I mean, that just doesn't seem right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. And who's next? Who's next on our list?
I apologize. The next signed up is John Baines.
Thank you. I live in Wales Garden, which is the neighborhood up from adjacent to Hollywood Rose Hill. Every time that people add bedrooms to units in our community, the immediate thinking is we get more students. as chairman of the board, you live in a community which is 70% rental properties. Ours are 40. I'm not quite sure what the figure is for Hollywood Rose Hill, but the number keeps increasing year by year. And the rental properties bring in students. Expanding the number of bedrooms brings in students. And those are problems. The rules regarding parking spaces were probably made in the 1950s or 60s when a family had one car. Now, when the students move in, it's not one car, but it's their boyfriend's or girlfriend's car. And suddenly the parking spaces bleed out into the neighborhood and impact everyone. Suddenly you find yourself having to pay the city to enforce a specialized parking zone to keep people off the streets. Those streets are already overcrowded with cars. I would hate to see a fire engine try to get down some of the streets in our neighborhood. I'm not sure about Saluda Avenue where this place is located, but it's a serious problem. Opening up more bedrooms means probably, maybe not immediately, but gradually more students, and that's going to create a problem. It is already. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next.
Next is Lynn Shirley.
As Mr. Livingston said, my name is William Lynn Shirley. I live on South Saluda, about a block and a half from these properties, and I'm on the neighborhood council. I'm sure you're used to having person after person come up and all they do is repeat the same things you've heard. So I'm going to try to parse through some of mine. But the thing to me that's just at the front of this is they skirted the rule of law by not applying for a permit for these properties. There have been several instances of poor communication. Ms. Taylor herself is on our neighborhood email list, even though she is president of the adjacent neighborhood. There was no reason that could not be communicated to us. The insinuation that most of the extra parking on the street is people using the neighborhood park is just conjecture. Because when the students aren't in these apartments, the streets are relatively clear, okay? The two other points I wanted to make is, yes, in a two-bedroom apartment now, it could be a mom and a dad and a child. It could be a boyfriend and a girlfriend and then, a roommate in the other. But 3 bedrooms is going to guarantee 3 people per unit. Whereas now, I would love to know their statistics of how many people are on the leases in the apartments that are 2-bedroom. How many of them are currently 3? Because there will be an intensification, I think, regardless. I also take objection to this better class of tenant. Mr. Jones will speak. We'll show you a picture of some of the better class of tenants that we've seen at the beginning of the semester outside the apartments. I also just wonder and raise the question, if this is allowed to continue, do neighborhoods or does the zoning or the zoning adjustment have any say-so in saying that the rest of the units cannot be converted to 3-bedroom? That this, and I agree with Mr. Livingston, this intensification of it can't continue because there's still room to add more bedrooms and put more people in. Because I can guarantee most people in today's world, if you have a 3-bedroom place, you're not having just 2 bedrooms as bedrooms and using that third one as the dining area, which is what it was beforehand. So those are the thoughts that I had, the questions I raised. Thank you.
The next speaker is Guy Jones.
Hello, I'm Guy Jones, and I'm speaking today for Hollywood Rose Hill neighborhood. I've been neighborhood president twice, so I've been involved in the neighborhood quite a long time. My wife and I live at 103 South Edisto. At the same time that Robert Lewis was going to law school, I moved into what was then Plantation Court. And it was such a nice place to live that I stayed there for 17 years while I established my small business. And at that time, there were really a variety of tenants. There were families, children. There were single tenants like myself. and the different ages of tenants. So it was just a nice mix. And the neighborhood has really enjoyed having that nice mix of tenants in the apartments. So we have considered this matter quite a good bit, and we have voted in our neighborhood council to support the city zoning administrator's denial of the retroactive permit based on intensification. We believe that intensification would occur with the owner's plans. Specifically, we feel that the owner's clear objective here is to rent to students. The three-bedroom, $1,000 a bed per month model is pretty clear around the city right now. And that seems to be their idea of increasing the rental revenue from the property. Right now, there's a sign in front of the property that is, I would say, inspired by the University of South Carolina. They're clearly looking for USC students. I'll show you this picture of a game of beer pong going on recently, and we just shudder to think that the property is going to be all students with the type of behavior that students often do. And if we look on nearby Waccamaw Avenue, we have a clear example of what that behavior often becomes. So our desired outcome would be that the unapproved and unpermitted work be removed, and that the stairwells be returned to their original condition. It may be that by code, one entrance exit is sufficient, but I think common sense will tell you that two methods of egress are safer than one. And when I lived there, I certainly used both the front and rear door just as much. And I would say that that space where the rear stairwell is was never intended to be repurposed into bathrooms as the owners have done. So thank you. We strongly support the city's position that this is an intensification of use. And I would like to say just quickly that I think most of the people here know each other, like each other. It's not a matter of personalities. It's a question of facts as we see them. Thank you very much.
Who's next? Pardon? Pictures, oh. Can we call the next person up? Who's?
Me?
Yes, it is Jim Daniels.
Daniel?
Mr. Chairman, I would like, and I've talked to Mr. Lewis, he's okay. These are blown up diagrams of the present and past. I thought it might help.
We have this on our screen.
You can
on our
actually read
iPad.
it
Yes,
well
we
enough?
have those on our iPad,
Okay.
yes, sir.
I'm Jim Daniel. I'm a four-time resident of Hollywood Rose Hill. I was a past president, and I'm now the president of the Wheeler Neighborhood Association. 4 points, and I'll sit down.
All right. Mr. Daniel, go ahead.
One comment that Lynn touched on briefly is the additional bathrooms that they have added or plan to add go outside the original footprint of the unit. That was a common hall that served both apartments. They have now eliminated the back stairwell, and they've now placed a bathroom in what used to be a common space on first and second floor. When they refer to a better tenant, this is just another way to say tenants that can pay more rent. In our neighborhood right now, we have a major issue on one street. We've already gotten the NOV against one landowner. They're cramming 5 people into 5-bedroom houses, charging $1,000 per bedroom, which seems to be the norm downtown. So now they are going to add additional bedrooms at $750 to $1,000 per bedroom. In effect, that is a 50% increase into the revenue they could receive if there was only 2 bedrooms there. With 3 and a second bathroom, they can now generate a considerable larger amount of rent to go towards the $5.5 million they paid for this property. The new door that they showed today, last time I went there, was a window. I don't know if that door goes anywhere, but I doubt not, because it goes to a bathroom, so I don't know what it really serves. So again, I support the city's position that is an intensification. It's more bodies in a bigger space, which will generate more cars. We're having a problem right now in Wheeler Hill where the pads that have been built for parking are built for 4 cars. Well, that's a violation to begin with, because you can't have more than 500 square feet for a parking pad. And then the city in parking has come back and allowed them to park on the side, on the Pine Straw. So now we've got parking pad of 800 square feet, which is 300 square feet more than this. What they're going to see here is what we're seeing, is you're going to have an increase. Each person will have their own car. They will have friends. So I think, again, we support the administrator's decision and think this is intensification, and hope you will uphold his decision. Thank you.
Who's next?
Emily Susky.
Well done on the pronunciation.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Emily Susky, and I'm a resident of Hollywood Rose Hill. I live just down the street from these apartments and from the park. And I want to say that the board's questions have kind of hit the nail on the head. What is intensification of use? And it's intensification. You have some discretion, right? There isn't case law out there. The appellant's attorney is correct. There's nothing on point, so you have some discretion about what that means. And it's intensification of impacts, right? From moving from a single dwelling zoned area to a non-single family zone dwelling. And one of those impacts is what I want to speak to as a mother of 3 children, one of whom bikes to the park and bikes to school, which is the safety issues I'm very concerned about. It has intensified the parking issue in a noticeable way. This is not something we need to predict. It's something that's already happened since they've added the bedroom to the unit. There's now the street, South Gregg, has turned into, at times, right in front of that apartment complex, a 1-car passable street. You can't see what's coming, you can't see what's going, and it's right where the children and some of our elderly neighbors, not to mention just me walking my dogs, can't see what's coming and going. There's an increase in litter, and I'm quite frankly very concerned that this intensification of use has caused significant safety issues, and if it's not reversed, will continue to cause those significant safety issues for the children in the neighborhood who up until now have been able to just run freely to the park and bike to school without concerns. So I strongly support the city's position and ask the board to find in favor of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. And who's next?
And that's the last person we have signed up. I don't know if there's anyone else present.
All right. Would anyone else like to speak to the case? You have to come to the That's okay.
Hi, I'm Catherine Luchak. I live in Hollywood Rose Hill. I'm past president several years ago of the Neighborhood Association, current member of the association. Just a couple of things that haven't been said yet. Again, we know this is a grandfathered property. In 2017, there was a fire in the stairwell and a woman died. So there are safety issues about taking away an alternative route to get out of the buildings. I think you'd be setting a very troublesome precedent if we didn't hold fast on this being an intensification of use. I think it would allow for future development here and also in other properties in our neighborhood. I talked to one of the tenants when I work in the park a lot. I do a lot of the gardening in the park. And he told me in his building, there's 2 people in each apartment. So this idea that there could be 3 unrelated people, yeah, there could be, but there mostly aren't. But again, is what they said, once there's 3 bedrooms, there definitely will be 3. That's intensification. I also work in the park. I don't see people parking in the apartments to come to the park. I do see people parking on the street to go to the apartments. And while the owner might be very cautious about who she rents to, although you can run into some law about that too, about discrimination, they're not going to be the owners forever. So those things could be totally gone and the next owner could come in and cite this case if the intensification was not considered to go ahead and intensify, even if this owner has no intention of doing any more like that. We do welcome things like landscaping and those sorts of things. I think that's great, but I think the grandfathering means that you cannot make these kinds of changes. And I think the city needs to hold fast and pull back on this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and I guess the developer is, I'm sorry, did you want to speak too? You have to come to this podium and state your name.
Thank you all for serving. My name's Lane Ligon. I live adjacent to these apartments. I'm in the real estate business and I manage rental property for other people. I personally own 28 2-bedroom apartments in the city of Columbia. Only 2 of them have more than 2 people in them, have 3 people in them. I also manage 4 3-bedroom apartments in the neighborhood, and 3 out of 4 of those have 3 people in them. So while the argument about could live, how many ever, that's some data on who lives there. The intensification is very subjective, obviously, but I just wanted to share that data that I have.
All right, thank you. All right, so now we're up for the 5-minute rebuttal.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Mr. Duval, you were asking the question about a layman's explanation about intensification, and Andrew had given an example of a liquor store. A liquor store is in a strip shopping center, and they're doing good business. It's a non-conforming use. They have 4,000 square feet. They can't move over to the next space and now have 6,000 square feet to expand their business. That's an intensification. But you take that same example of a liquor store, and it's 4,000 square feet, and it's Joe's Liquor Store, and Mr. Joe has run that for 35 years and he's old and it's got a little bit run down. And he decides to sell it to Greens. What do you call it? Greens Party Shop is Green. I don't know what the Greens is called, but they have them in Myrtle Beach, they have them here. Greens comes in, re-signs it, advertises it, restocks. Instead of 6-foot shelves of liquor, they have 8-foot shelves of liquor. They have displays that are nicer, have the same amount of parking. All of a sudden, Joe's liquor store that was making $800,000 a year is now making $1.4 million a year. That's not an intensification. That's in the same footprint. It's the same use. You're bringing in more income. You change the floor plan, you change the stock, you make more money. That's not an intensification. In my brief, I didn't bring up here. Yeah, I did. They talked, one of the cases talked about a grocery store. Same type example. Mom and pop grocery store, same size. Somebody comes in, and it's been run by that mom and pop for 30 years. Somebody comes in, it's a non-conforming use, but they upgrade it. They make it better. They advertise more. They run it better. That's not an intensification. Same thing here. We got to be focused on what the ordinance says. In intensification, in the ordinance, they talk about going outside the footprint. We're not going outside the footprint of those structures. We're also not doing anything to change the use. 24 units before, 24 units after. The law in this city says, under the case of McMaster versus City of Columbia, that you can have 3 people in each of those units. Don't, but you can. You can't now say, well, we don't have 3 people in each of those units, and so you can't do anything to bring 3 people in each of those units. That's what these arguments are. Can't do anything to bring 3 people to these units. And that's simply not what our laws say. It's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope if this board says, well, I know what the law says, but you know, we really don't want to upset the neighborhood. Got to follow the law. Got to follow the law. And I say it's a slippery slope because I ride through this neighborhood. I get up very early. I get my Starbucks coffee at 5:30 and I ride by Saluda every morning just to see what's out there. I've never, ever gone out there that there haven't been empty parking spots in that parking lot, ever. Anytime since they've hired me, I've never gone out there and seen a situation where there weren't some empty parking lots. Are people parking on the street? Yeah, they are. Why are they doing that? Well, because it's convenient to do it. That's just the way it is. If you're on Saluda and you look at the house on the corner, you talk about non-conforming use, let's talk about non-conforming condition. That house doesn't even have a driveway. That's a 2,500, 3,000 square foot house. It doesn't even have a driveway. It doesn't have a parking spot at all. The law in this city says you have to be able to park 2 cars if you build a house. That's what our ordinance says. It's a non-conforming condition. If you go down that slippery slope, then somebody's going to come in and say, well, Miss Occupant, citizen, owner, you know, you just apply for a permit. You want to change your windows out. You want to paint. You want to replace your roof. You're spending $35,000 on a $400,000 home. You got to bring it up to code. That's an intensification.
I think your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do you have a question? Go ahead. Stand closer to the microphone. Closer to the mic, too.
So I'm relying on unlimited sections here that have been provided in the briefs and memos. And so if I'm missing something, it's entirely possible. So I know we talk about the McMaster case. But with respect to the equivalent of a statute, that's the UDO?
Yes,
right?
That's right.
So the statutory construction would be based on the UDO?
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
So questions based on the sections cited and the things that have been attached again.
But let me add on some of the questions that came up about the building code issues.
And I think that's not what we're asking here. If we could just.
Yeah, but
with this
I just
question.
wanted to make sure that the questions about access and removing the stairway and things
Right,
like
no.
that's a building code issue.
Understand.
Not part of this.
Agree. So yeah, and I'm trying to just parse through the issues that are actually at issue here. So I think I kind of have a continuation from a different page, but I think it's 17.7.3, section D is the expansion and enlargement section.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
And I think we agree, I think the city agrees that there's no expansion and enlargement.
Right. So question there though. So I see, the prefatory piece of the area occupied by nonconforming use says a nonconforming use shall not be enlarged, expanded in area occupied or intensified, which is cited throughout the briefs, except that a nonconforming use may be enlarged into any area of the same structure in which it is located, which was manifestly arranged or designed for such use prior to the date that the use became a nonconformity. The question there is with respect to something that another person highlighted, which I'm genuinely curious about. If the bathroom now is in what was previously a common hallway, can you help me understand how that would mesh with previously, designed purpose versus new use being a bathroom?
Well, first of all, again, it's not outside the footprint of the original structure. And I guess in response to that, we would say that any common area, whatever the square footage of that common area, would be allocated among the 4 dwelling units. So if you took out some of the common area and you replaced some of that common area with dwelling area, then you're basically making up what part of the common elements was allocated to that dwelling unit.
Okay.
Adding 4 bathrooms, and that would be our argument.
So when you say, when the conversation of a common area, common hallway, it was a common hallway within the one
Yes.
bigger unit and not, a common area outside of the, okay.
Yeah, it was a common hallway that served all 4 units in the one building. There's six buildings.
Okay, a unit being 2 to 3 bedrooms and
Yeah,
2 to 3 bathrooms.
the unit being 4 2-bedroom, 1-bath units per building,
Okay.
apartments per building. Yes, sir.
And so it was I had the floor plans, but they're gone now. But it was a common area within the broader unit that houses the different.
Yeah, it was a stairway.
Okay.
It was a rear stairway, yes.
Second question is 17.1.4C, which is the development not constituting development.
Let me get mine.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Question with regard to that.
So I read the dispute between the city and your memo with respect to the fact that such as an increase is not exhaustive. I only saw one side of the position for the number of products or services provided by the use.
Which
So a
section are you
17,
speaking to, sir?
17.1.4,
A?
I'm sorry, C. I think my pages skip sections. Hold on a second. 17,
I believe it's 17.1.4B, but hold on.
BC? That doesn't normally happen in,
It is, yeah, B, C, yeah.
okay, yeah, we got to go to a number.
Yeah, there was a number skipped there, yeah.
So BC3 is the number of products or services provided by the use, and being that this is a rental property by nature, I was wondering if you had a rebuttal to that point.
I do, because what that says specifically is activities constituting development, that's B, unless expressly exempted by this ordinance, the following activities shall be considered development subject to this ordinance. And then you go down to C, any change in the intensity of use of a structure or land such as an increase in, number one, the number of businesses, establishments, offices, dwelling units, or lodging units. There has been no increase in any of those.
Right.
We still have the same dwelling units, it's just we have 3 bedrooms and 12 of them. The number of parking spaces, that's number 2. We're not changing the number of parking spaces. We have a parking plan that allows for 42 under the code. 42 is the required number. And the number of products or services provided by the use. The product or services in this case is, the rental of the structure. Under the city ordinance, the number of products, renters, the number of products or services, renters, that can be legally applied to this structure, or this structure, this apartment complex is 72. We're not changing that.
Last question, because I'm learning this today for the first time. 7.1A2.
17.7.
0.1. It's the general section.
Yes.
So I saw a discussion between the parties with respect to the intent of the article to permit nonconformities to continue, but not to encourage survival except as outlined. And then we get into the enlarged upon, expanded, extended conversation. Question being just without getting into the substantial investment discussion that was part of the emails, I still, I'm trying to understand enlarged, I think is footprint, right? Versus expanded versus extended.
Yeah, but I think that section says it cannot be enlarged, expanded in an area or intensified, except a nonconforming use may be enlarged into any area of the same structure in which it is located and was manifestly arranged or designed for such use prior to the date of the use when it became a nonconformity. So yeah, I mean, I think if you have an apartment building that has been used as an apartment building, you can expand within that apartment building for the same use.
Understand. Okay, that
As an
addresses my first
example-
question too.
As an
Yeah.
example, you could, in these structures right now, I don't know how high the ceiling is, but as an example, just hypothetical, somebody says, we want to loft above, we want to have a loft above the kitchen, so we have a sleeping loft. It's in the same area, you could do something like that. There's no plans to do that, by the way, but I just are using that as an example.
Thank you for your responses.
Thank you.
All right. No, I'm sorry. Mr. Livingood, do you think we could allow Mr. Daniel to?
It is up to the discretion of the board.
You want to hear what he has?
He doesn't agree with my interpretation.
What do y'all think? Should we let?
Mr. Daniel and one other gentleman were the reason I had the question about the bathroom in the hallway. So if it changes any perspective that I had in getting that response, I would be interested to hear it.
Okay, so Mr. Daniel, we will let you come forward.
Just a quick clarification. I'm looking at the same citation he was looking at section. It's 17-8.5D. And I won't belabor the point, but it says non-conforming use may be enlarged into any area of the same structure in which it was located, which was manifestly arranged or designed for such use prior to the date the use became a non-conformity. This property was built as a non-conformity. There wasn't a prior use. So my argument is that there wasn't a non-conformity before it was built as a nonconformity. And in that case, that's not applicable and you can't expand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I believe that closes testimony at this point. Mr. Livingood, would you like to rebut, or are you happy to just let us go? All right. No. All right. We have our attorney is here. Would anyone like to make a motion to move into executive session for receipt of legal advice?
Move to go to executive session for receipt of legal advice.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Andrew?
Yeah.
Well, if we do, but I don't think we do. So I think we're okay without Andrew. So we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I want to state for the record that there were no actions taken in executive session. Have any board discussion? Pardon me? Well, we haven't gotten there yet. We're getting to that. We're getting there. We're not there yet.
It's coming.
All right. So, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
What would you like to say?
I'd like to make a motion to uphold the zoning administrator's determination regarding the intensification of a non-conforming multifamily use within the single-family residential district.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, now we have to wait for Andrew for the second case. Pardon me? It was unanimous, yes. Okay. Where is Andrew? Thank you, Mr. Balthazar. Can you just read the next case? All right. Everyone who was here on the prior case is welcome to stay or leave as you wish.
Okay, the next case on the regular agenda is case number 2025-0028V, 4206 Divine Street, a variance to the side yard setback for a new single-family residence.
Okay.
I believe the applicant.
Is the applicant here? Would you like to come forward and state your name for the record, please?
My name's Steve Applewhite with Keystone Custom Builders.
I'm sorry.
Steve Applewhite,
Applewhite, okay.
Keystone Custom Builders. I purchased this property earlier this year, 4206 Divine Street.
I'm sorry. If y'all could please go, if you could excuse us, we're hearing the next case. If you could move into the hallway, that'd be nice. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Applewhite.
I purchased this property, 4206 Divine Street and 4208 Divine Street earlier this year. I went through all the necessary steps to begin construction on a single-family residence. I had the lot surveyed, staked, commenced construction after all the appropriate permits. And then I started construction on the house at 4208 Divine Street. They're mirrored plans, yet they look different, so they do not look the same at all. And once I started that, I noticed some discrepancy. It didn't look right to me. Halted construction. I got surveyors back out there, and it appeared my subcontractor made a mistake and turned the house on the lot, and it is into the setback on 4206 Divine Street. So at that point, I halted construction. I explored all avenues of moving the property line to, so the setback wouldn't be, so it wouldn't be inside the setback, but I was told that I couldn't do anything. I attempted everything I could. So at this point, this is where it's led me. I'm asking for a variance in the setback, so do not have to demolish what is currently in place or end up in a lawsuit with a subcontractor.
And how much are you off by? 4.43?
Total setback's 8 feet. It is 4.2 feet, I believe. I'm asking for a variance of 4.2 feet.
All right. Okay, very,
And I have, in my packet, I had some exhibits, but I didn't see them when.
that's all right. That's all right. We can see the picture. Right. Fine, yeah. All right, very good. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? No? All right. So I guess we'll close discussion and close testimony, and we'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve the variance request, subject to staff comments.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Very good. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to go home.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Golly, Ned. Okay, we can recycle all that. Cool.